Marrow fella in the car goes, young kid, he goes, cities, underground, you sure, Jim? Dad goes, yeah, trains and everything. This fella goes, how are the cities going to be? And he goes, what do you mean? Well, they're going to be upside down, Jim. But yeah, they were like story time around Dad. So I went to Barangaroo when they started that Sydney Metro job, and I'm standing on top of the bridge looking over Barangaroo, and I went straight back to that story. Yeah. And what they're doing now, you know, in these cities where they're expanding out, but they're building these tunnels underneath, eh?
Yep.
Unreal. But they've been doing that for years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not new.
No.
So, yeah. Right at Prospect, and then where?
Prospect, Peabody at that stage had 2 jobs. One was the M2 tunnels at Epping in Sydney, and they also won a shaft job at Henty in Tassie.
So who's Peabody's? What's
Peabody? Was an big American coal company.
Yeah, right. But mining or tunneling?
Well, over in the US, they're huge in coal. Plus, they had 3 coal mines in the Hunter Valley. We actually worked for Peabody Mining Services, and Alan Rossiter ran that, and they were quite happy with the money that his little company was making, so they just let him operate it and just keep going. Anyway, he won these 2 jobs, and he asked me, do you want to stay in Sydney or do you want to go to Tassie? I said, I'll make a phone call. I rang my wife, she said, stay in Sydney, because she's from Tassie. She didn't want to go there, especially to the West Coast.
Yeah.
So we stayed in Sydney, and it was in 95, that's when Mickey was born.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
So what was that job and what was involved in?
Twin roadheader tunnels. I still remember 465 metres long each, 12.7 metres wide, and we did top heading. Then we installed the dust boxes over on the western side of the tunnels, and we came back the eastern side and we cut out the bench because all the dust just got sucked through.
Right. So compared to what you've done, so I just want to describe it a bit more. So you haven't really talked about road headers until this job. Yeah, but you've been on them prior, and they've been around, or?
Yeah, well, Opera House car park. Well, we use them up in New Guinea as well, on one of the tunnels up at Octedi.
Right.
And AM50 up there.
But this is a straight road header job for you now, eh?
Yeah.
Shift boss still, or you moved?
No, I was superintendent.
Super then. Yeah.
I became superintendent up the Blue Mountains of Falconbridge.
Oh, okay.
And then went down to Prospect as superintendent, and then over to M2 as superintendent.
Yeah, right. Cool. Right. So when you said you cut out the top heading, so what's involved there? So what do you? So how long was the tunnel? Did you say?
465 metres.
Yeah. So 4.5 football fields.
Yep.
Cut out the top heading means.
So we cut out the arch, and so there's just enough. One of the main things, or one of the good things about the project is, we talked Alan into buying 2 brand new road headers, like an S200 MA, the coal mining machine, a 200 kilowatt machine, and we got the first S300A road header. It was the first one in the country. Mitsui.
Mitsui, yes.
Yeah. Both Mitsuis. Yeah, and that was just a fantastic machine. Just brand new. Had Chaz Dean on it, bullfighter.
Yeah.
I forget Russell Cowell. He was on one of the smaller machines. On the smaller machine. Perry McLeod was on the smaller machine. Manu Winnitunner, he was on the smaller machine. Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
It was like a 75-week program, and we got practical completion in 50 weeks. It's an absolutely awesome project.
Yeah. Well, I remember Bullfighter being there. Well, I talked to him about it, but I think Rod Orman might have been there too.
Yeah. Regis was there too.
Yeah. So they talked about it. Like, that's how I remember it. They just talked about how good it was.
Yeah.
And driving through it myself, you admire when you've heard about a job. You look into it in a different way, in a different light.
Well, it's since been widened on one side.
Yeah.
On the outside of each drive.
Yeah.
to make it 3 lanes.
So can you explain the process? Because I just want people to understand that we don't cut the whole diameter of the tunnel out and then a week later you're driving through it. So
actually, it was a bunch of firsts on that project because we were the first to build an acoustic shed. So we built an acoustic shed across the whole motorway. It was, I think it was about 30 metres long by whatever the width of the motorway is.
So if you're driving the M2 now and you go through those tunnels,
yep.
So where was it before you built the tunnels? Where did it go? Was there an old road? Or was the M2 not even there?
It was only Epping Road.
Oh, righto.
Yeah. There was no M2.
Righto, okay. So they're doing civil and roadworks, and then you're coming into...
And we're in the middle. Doing the 2 tunnels.
And this is where I think a lot of people don't get confused, but they just don't know. We're only a little... well, not a little part. We're a big part of this project, but they might say North Connects or they might say Clem 7 or whatever these road tunnels are. But bridges and the civil works to lead into this, they don't just appear out of nowhere, don't they? No. There's all this work, and we are a part of that whole project. So that M2, 450 metres, but they were building that motorway either side of you.
Yeah.
So acoustic shed, how big was that then?
Well, it was the full width from batter to batter, which I'd be about 50 metres, I'd say. And we had it 30 metres long. And we had big doors on it. We were only allowed to open between 7 and 6 p.m. or something. And we had to store the dirt inside at night.
Yeah. So explain an acoustic shed, like people might sort of... what's the reason behind it, and what are we trying to do with this acoustic shed?
We're trying to keep all our noise inside. We had to stay below something like 65 decibels at night. And we had a resident who lived right up on top of the bower, and he was a nasty sort of a bloke, and he was always out. He was always complaining and whatever. So, but basically, the shed is made out of corrugated iron. It's double skinned. In this, you have bats between the 2 skins to try and soften all the noise. And inside, we hung acoustic curtains as well, so it would, absorb all the noise.
Yeah. And we also use them for dust suppression as well nowadays. Was that the idea back then as well? Like you said, it was a new...
No, inside we had two separate dust boxes.
Yeah, right. So the dust boxes themselves, like out in the country, they'll have them for ventilation and all that sort of stuff to contain the dust that we create by excavating, by cutting the ground out. Now, being in the city with the environment and everything like that and the surroundings that we have, they are a crucial part of our process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And these acoustic sheds now, they look like a massive Bunnings. I describe them as a massive Bunnings over the top of a full-on work project.
Tunnel operation.
Yeah.
You have to have it these days to work 24 hours a day.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. We work 24/7.
Yeah.
Well,
It used to only be 6 days, but now it's 24/7 to 7-3, 7-4 roster.
That's right. Yeah. So you go back to cutting. You cut the top heading out. What was your diameter, and then what would be your height and width of, say, that top cutting, the top heading you're saying?
Yep.
And then the process was to cut that right through the 450.
465.
Oh, 465?
Yep. So you cut the arch, the right shape, bolt it all, shotcrete it all. I would do the first layer of shotcrete, and then we cut it all the way down to the vertical wall, and then we cut about half a metre down the vertical wall. And that was our top heading, broke through at the other end. We put our dust box at the other end, sealed it, brought the 2 road headers back, and you had like a 3 metre bench that we had to cut out.
I'm just picturing it now because I know the arch form and I can see it, right? So you're doing the top heading, which is
you
the
cut
roof.
one side, then cut the other side.
Yeah. So how do you get down into these little, the real corners bits with a Mitsui head, with a pineapple head? How can you get right down to, one of the boys said it the other week, was the toe?
Yeah.
How do you cut right down into the end?
Well, at the end of the day, you don't have to cut all the way down. You can get it when you cut you can marry it all in when you cut your walls, when you cut your bench.
Yes.
So you can leave it tight if you want.
Yeah. Now, don't forget, this is what year?
95.
So no guidance system back then?
No, we just had 3 lasers.
Yes.
Just on the arch. It was all done by eye.
By eye, eh?
Yeah. Had good road header operators in. You could just look down the hall and survey would come in and, it was all within 75 mil, which was pretty good.
Yeah. how many benches? So you did your top heading?
Yep.
And then how many benches to get down?
Just one bench.
So
3
come
metres.
back down, and then bench that
Yeah,
out.
just married into your arch.
Yeah, so your arch might come down, and then, wherever you can get to.
Yeah.
And then when you come down and cut your bottom bench out or your bottom face out to get that whole diameter or that whole profile, that's when you marry it in.
Just marry it into
trim it
your
in.
arch.
Yeah, cool.
You had your 3 lasers on the walls, and you just, they're 100 mil offset, whatever.
Yeah. Right, and
then when you get up there to the arch, just marry it in.
Yeah. And by then, when you've got down, obviously your arch is a lot bigger, so you can get down to your toes and to your floor and get that in. But that first bit, it's going to be hard, obviously, and you're cutting this by eye, so there's no guidance system. So getting it as close as you can and as good as you can, and then come back in and whack it out.
Yeah. And when you go through the M2 now on that one, on the inside wall, you can see it's pretty good.
Yeah. So cut, muck out, bolt, spray.
Yep.
And then
lining. Once we finished all the excavation, we came through with a bigger robotic machine and did the final shotcrete lining.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
Made lots of money on it.
Yeah,
the company did.
Yeah. Righto. So what happened after that?
What happened after M2? I went to Cannington. Did the shafts up there.
Yeah, I've heard about this. You took a few boys, like they talk about Cannington.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a mine.
Yeah, it was a fantastic job. Yeah.
Where's Cannington?
Cannington's sort of 86 k's south of McKinley. And McKinley became famous from it's where the Walkabout Creek Hotel is. That's where Crocodile Dundee was made.
Northern Territories, I mean?
No, Queensland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's sort of near Cloncurry. Yeah, between Cloncurry and Winton.
This is something that it really interests me because these tunnelling projects, and when people come into tunnelling, a project finishes, and if there's no tunnel job to go to, you've really got to put yourself out there.
Because this was still with Peabody though.
Oh, okay, yeah. But you've got city living, the family set up. Kids are going to school. If they've got kids by then, going to their school, and then all of a sudden the old man comes home and goes, "Oh, it's finished. I'm going to shoot out to Cannington."
Yep.
Whew.
We moved to Queensland at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we set up and we started building on the Gold Coast.
Yeah. So Cannington, what was happening there?
Cannington mine is a silver lead zinc mine, and actually the silver Olympic Games medals the silver came from that mine. So, just saying. But anyway, they had a mine, had been going there for, 10 years at that stage. And we went up and did the SA50 ventilation shaft and TF95 haulage shaft. First shaft was 325 metres deep and the second one was 650 strip and line.
So this is shaft sinking, eh?
Yep.
Yeah. Drill and blast?
Yep.
Yeah. So I've had a couple of guys on that talk about shaft sinking. So what happens? You're a super by then, eh? You're a super for shaft sinking. So TBMs, road header, super for a shaft sinking job.
Yep.
How do you do it?
Well, this is strip and line, which is a lot easier than doing a benching the shaft or whatever. So what you do is you do a raise bore from the bottom of the mine. Or say the first one was from 325 level. Yep. So you drill a 5-inch hole, 6-inch hole down. You drop your 5-inch rods down, or you bore it out to 13-inch. Then you put your raise bore rods down. You put a raise bore on the bottom, which was it 1200? 1200? No, it was 1800. Sorry, it was 1800 raise bore hole. So you screw your head on the bottom, and you just spin it and pull it to the surface, and cuts out all the rock. You pull it all the way to the surface, and you got your raise bore hole. Yeah. So
a raise bore hole is it's an area that's been cut out by a machine, so you can fire into it. So it gives it that void, as you say. Yep. So face. So distance? Did you say what was the distance?
325.
325 meters.
Yep.
So 3.5 football field, or like you're drilling down. So say like a directional driller or an explorational drilling rig will come in. He'll have rods or drill bits or drill steels and a drill bit, and he'll drill straight down into a mine that's already been mined. So that'll come out at a cross passage or come out at a
level.
A level. Yeah. So then they'll punch that down, and so that's a hole in the ground. 350 meters down, 325. From there, they lower from those.
They'll ream it out to 13-inch.
Yeah, so reaming it out, making a little bit bigger because it's just like a pilot drill, and then you ream it out a bit more. So open it up, and then you put in your raised bore rods.
12-inch rods down all the way down to the level.
Yeah,
and you run it down, and by radio, you take your raised bore head down there, put it on the floor, level it up, right under the hole. Yeah, and they just run it down and screw it in. Yeah, and just pull it back to the surface. So you've got a 325 metre hole that's almost 2 metres in diameter in the middle of this shaft that you're going to sink. Yep. So from that hole, what do you do? And what's the diameter of your shaft that you're sinking outside that 12? 6 metres and 5.6 metres concrete line finish.
Yeah, right.
But we sunk 50 metres just with a little excavator and lined it. Before we could set up the head frame. Then we set up the head frame and we'd start.
So what's the head frame and what does that do?
Shaft head frame winders. So you have your winders, your winches, your 3 winches. So they all go over the top of the head frame and straight down the shaft. And 2 of the winches connect onto your stage. Yeah. And your stage hangs off it. And your 3rd winch is for your access, all your materials. Just runs up and down.
So obviously there's no raised bore drill bit that can go 6 metres wide. So
there is.
Oh yeah, there is now, but back then. So what you have to do is.
But you got to have pretty good ground to open it up to 6 metres straight up because it'll just collapse. Yeah. So
this method is because of all the planning, designing, geo, strata, all the stuff that's been done prior to we turn up and do the job. So all that's been set up, and then Peabody's have gone, we can do that. So they tender for it, or they put in a quote for it. Bang, they get the job. We turn up as tunnelers and look at the job. You'd come in early, won't you? You'd come in early, sit down with all the engineers, and they'll say we're going to sink it like this. We're going to bring a raised bore in, which is another company, is it? Or did Peabody's come? Yeah. So they come and do the raised bores, which is a pilot hole and an 1800 millimeter dive. Then, like you said, you sunk that shaft with excavators, rock breakers, rock hammers on there. Yep. Down 50.
Just down 50 metres.
50 metres. Lined it, so it's all secured. Rock bolting it, spraying it, whatever it is.
Actually, we didn't bolt it. We just concreted.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So formed it. So we've got
a form there. Just hangs on the wall. So to get down to 50 metres, we only had a 1 metre form. So every metre you went down, you just drop your formwork down. Yeah. Reset it, pour it, and then excavate again. And excavation's easy. We had a plug in there, which a man couldn't fit through. So that just sat in the centre, so the guys could work in there without having to wear harnesses and so forth. And the excavator just made sure he just had to break the dirt up small enough to go through the little holes. Yeah.
So when you say a form, a movable form, that's like a window washers when they get lowered down. So you're like...
Well, a full circular concrete form.
Yeah. So it's right around, and people can work on this platform and do all their jobs on the outer wall of this shaft. Yep. And that lowers down, and every time you do your bit, you lower it down into it. You've got excavators hammering away. So you've got your crew that have been on TBMs, cut road headers, with road headers. Yeah. Are they the same people that go in to do this job?
Yep.
And
actually, the superintendent of the mine, Bill Davies, he nicknamed us we're just a bunch of busted ass bus conductors from Sydney.
Yeah, bus conductors.
So, and he hated the fact that they had the muck out. They had the muck out for us at the bottom of the mine.
Yeah. So after the raised bore, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because they had to take a machine off development.
Yeah, because they're a full production mine, aren't they? Yeah. So
But we were priority. We had to get the ventilation shaft in, and he knew that.
Yeah. So, right. So this is a ventilation shaft, which means, you've got a deep mine, kilometres deep.
Yeah, struggling for ventilation.
Yeah. So then us busted ass tunnelers come in and we save the day pretty much, don't we? We come in there and we give them, ventilation. Yeah, so, this is, anyway. So we're sinking that 50 metres. We do all that by hand and, hands on. You've got your crews, 3 shifts, or what do you...
2 12-hour shifts.
3. So yeah, we've gone to 12. So
The boys work 2 on, 1 off.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They fly in and fly out.
Yeah.
Ooh, righto.
Yeah. But the likes, like Daryl Techie, he lived in New Zealand.
Yeah, right.
So he'd go home to New Zealand for his break.
Yeah. Which would have been a new thing for a lot of them too, eh? Like when you think of what we were doing in the city, and then do a fly in and fly out job, or 2 weeks on and 1 week off.
Yeah.
Wow. Unreal. So then once you got to that 50 metres in, so you've got the drill and blast, did you say? So what happens with that?
Well, we had a 2-boom hydraulic jumbo. We dropped it down, get down near the floor, you'd fold the legs out, drop it down, hook it onto the power and the hydraulics, and just drill all your rings.
Yeah.
And because it was only 2-boom, not 3-boom, and the reason it was only 2-boom because by the time we got to the bottom of the next shaft, our winder wouldn't have been able to handle the weight. So there's no point. I didn't think there's any point getting the boys used to using 3 booms, and then taking 1 boom off them later on the next project, on the next shaft. As you get used to the system using 2, you drill out 2/3 of the shaft, and then you just pick it up, spin it around 60 degrees, and drill the other.
So when you're drilling down holes with the 2-boom jumbo, so they're up like this, not like that.
No,
they've gone like this,
yep.
And we're drilling down
3.5 metre round, 3.6 metre round.
Right. So my knowledge of drilling, you're filling it up with water as well.
Yeah.
And flush, and you have to flush it out. So how deep were your holes? How deep were
3.5, 3.6.
So 3.5 metres deep.
Yep.
Drilled with a jumbo. What diameter?
45s.
Oh yeah. So normal drill hole bits, and then bang, pull it back out, and then you're working on around this thing, so you can't block your holes up, can you?
No.
Yeah. So did you?
No. We always had a tamping stick, bit of conduit.
Yeah.
You always run that down first, make sure it's clear, leave the water in, just charge it up.
Yeah. So then you'd do half because it's only got booms at the front, so you bang, 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 and then like you said,
well, you can rotate. So
bang.
Yeah, so you do 2/3 of the shaft.
Yeah.
With the 2 booms.
Yeah.
Then you just pick it up, spin it round. Just spin it, rotate it about 60 degrees, drop it down again, and finish off your shaft.
And so you'll do 1/2 bang.
Yeah.
The winder driver, which is Buddha said it's a glorified crane driver, but you sort of comes down, picks you up, so you can spin it around, and then you do the other half.
Yep.
How do you get the one that you're standing on? Oh no, because that's over the top of the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah.
Righto, cool. And then, righto. So then you drilled your holes, cleaned them all out, flushed them all out, and then what did you do?
You fold up the jumbo, send it out, and you'll send the powder down in the kibble.
Yeah.
So
then you charge it up.
You'd load it all up.
Yeah.
And then last thing you do is drop the kibble right down, had chains on the bottom, you hook it onto your plug.
So what's a kibble?
Kibble, just a 1.8 metre bucket, which we travelled up and down in.
Oh,
all your supplies and your men travelled in a kibble.
So like a man cage, like a Elimac, but...
Well, it's just a kibble. It wasn't a cage at all. It was just a mucking kibble. But it was 1.5 metres high, so you could only just see out of it.
Yeah.
So you'd climb in, you'd hook your plug on, and then you'd come up, you'd run your stage up 20 metres so it wouldn't get blasted to bits.
Oh, so you'd pull that up. The stage is what you've been working on. So that you pull that up. Yes.
Yep. Right. You pull it up out of the way. And all the signals are by knocker line.
Yes.
Maybe 6 and 6, 5, 2, whatever. We had all the signals there. So you'd run that up, and then you'd run your kibble up, and then you bring your line up, you hook it into your main firing line, which is always up around 50 metres.
Yeah.
Tie it in, and you go up and let it go. We had to let the mine know we were about to fire.
Yes. Would you fire within the firing sequence, or did you have your own?
No, we had our own to start with, but on the first shaft, because 325 was just blocked off.
Yes.
And that was just our level.
Yeah.
So we could fire any time.
Yeah.
So we let it go, and all the fumes just went straight down.
Oh, went down that 1800 mil hole, yeah. Because you would have had exhaust fans coming in with the auxiliary source ventilation with them already.
It was just natural ventilation getting drawn down the pilot hole.
Yes.
Or down the raisebore hole. Yeah, so the boys have a quick bite to eat, and they go back and just start mucking out. We'd send the boys down, then we'd send the backhoe down. We had a backhoe which hooked onto the bottom deck of the stage, plug the power in, plug the hoses in, lower the stage right down, and then you just scrape it all into the hole. Then you'd send that out, and then your plug would come back down on the bottom of the kibble. Boys would jump in, take it down, drop it in the hole so no one can fall in, unscrew it, and then away we go again.
And that's your process.
Yeah, and you drop the stage down, go up and pick up your form. If you didn't have enough room to concrete, you just go another round. And away we went.
Yeah.
We got the Australian shaft sinking record up there, 42 metres sunk. 49 metres sunk and 42 metres lined in a week.
Yeah. Unreal. Yeah, no, I heard about this job. Rod Allman used to tell me when I was at Cross City about it.
Yeah.
You know, like coming from the mines when I first started, and then coming into tunnelling. So my mining background was, you know, drives, ore bodies, and all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't. But I do remember Dad talking about shaft sinking, but it was more by hand. So they drilled their holes with their legs. They didn't have the leg on it. They just had
hand sinking.
Yeah. So, but
Tough
interesting.
job.
Yeah, I remember at this changeover, at the shift change, and this jumbo operator was asking Dad, because it might have been that job. He might have heard about your job because it was around the same time, because he was talking about going to this job that was shaft sinking. Say, oh man's, you know, half pissed, and he's sort of describing it. And when he describes something, he's got to stand, he's got to use the actions and all this too. So I'm looking over because I seen him stand up, and I thought, what's going on here? He's fucking going to have a fight or something like that. But all he was doing was like he gets up, oh yeah, you know, like big thing, you know, gets up, and he was standing there like this. Oh yeah, you know, you sort of, and he was standing. But what he meant was you had, like, this is air legging. You had a Rio bar,
Or short drill steel.
yeah, or short drill steels through the handle, and you held it, or one of your boys held it or something like that, or you could do it yourself, but he had the strap that come over that held it as well. So he's sort of talking like this. And I thought he was going to do the old Karate Kid kick, but he was describing it to this guy, and this guy, like, good mate of ours, Ima, he was blown away, but Dad was describing it back then, because I think they did that down in Cromwell. I'm pretty sure they sunk a 30-metre shaft down there to do explorational drilling and explorational work or foundation work under the river before the dam went up. So he was all over shafts. I've never done one, but I've heard a lot about them. I'd love to be involved, especially the drill and blast. Yeah, like, you know, I talked to Liam about it. I love that concept. I love that method. You know, what's involved, especially as a worker, and that, you know, and blowing shit up that you've worked on, and then seeing what you've just created, mucking it all out, and seeing the advancement of it, and going, wow, you know, that's, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit weird, but anyway, yeah, that's good. Cannington, and then
what happened after Cannington? After Cannington finished, came down to the Eastern Distributor.
Yeah, right.
And did Moore Park Road and Anzac Parade tunnels. Yeah.
So I talked to a few of the boys about that too. I suppose this is where I remember now them talking about Cannington, obviously, and then the Eastern Distributor and then the M5, which we'll get to. But so the Eastern Distributor, what's your take on that one? Oh,
there's all good jobs, but this is a great little job back in the city again. Subcontracted to Leighton's. This is with Peabody. Who was there? The likes of Chris Edney was there. You know, Andrea's husband now, and
Princess.
Princess.
Did you give her that name?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Yeah. The Princess, the Duchess, and the Queen. Anyway,
but she would have been interesting coming on you, and we talked about it earlier about how you like your engineers to go out there and have a look, eh?
Yep.
And we did talk about this with your young fella and all that. So yeah, because I think the few of the boys that I've been talking to, and one of the boys that came on talked about that job, and I remember Rod Bro telling me about how there was a massive cabin and they went over top of each other, but there was also an off ramp or on ramp. Did you say from
off ramps?
Yeah. So that was where you were, eh?
Yep.
And that was a road header.
Yeah, that we used the S200 MA road header again.
Oh, you had from the M2. So right.
So great. Did a great job there.
How long was that? So, because I've actually taken that when I used to go to Lane Cove. I used to go out to Randwick.
They were only like 300 metres or something like that.
Yeah, right. But you come in. Oh, well,
you would have had to. We come in from Anzac Parade, heading northwards.
Yep.
And we went down to almost the breakthrough point, and then we excavated all the cavern. We turned around, did Moore Park Road ramp, and then when Leighton's were ready for it, we broke through because they just didn't want all our dust and everything going down there.
Well, this is the thing. Like, you've got different sections, and I remember we'll eventually get to it. This Cross City Tunnel, because that was my first tunnel. But understanding, the bigger picture of these jobs with on and off ramps and things like that, and caverns, merging lanes, exits, and then you've got even your your niches for your fan niches. So you would have come in from Moore Park, did you say? Come down?
No, from Anzac Parade.
Anzac Parade, yeah.
Went down towards the main running tunnels,
yeah,
the main southbound tunnel, but we didn't break through.
Righto.
So then we came back, we finished all, and we excavated the cavern, and we had to do a lot of canopy tubes in through there, because that's where we actually went through the Great Sydney Dyke, through there. So anyway, we did all that, and we turned the machine around, and then we went up the Moore Park Road.
Oh, yeah, because there is two. Yeah, I know where you went. The one that goes sort of along towards Bondi.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you've got one that goes Anzac onto...
to Randwick.
Yeah, righto.
Yep.
So what's canopy tubing?
You drill a hole and you punch in steel tubes, normally about 1.2 metres long. They're threaded, and you just keep pushing them through. You grout them up. You have an array of them, say every 200 mils apart or something, and you build yourself a temporary roof, say. Then you excavate out like a metre. You put up a steel arch or a set or something. You put a grout bag between them where they're not touching, and then you spray them in.
Yeah, so this is because the ground's a little bit shitty.
Yeah.
So then we go into, more ground support to keep it secure while we excavate it through. Because obviously we're moving the ground and moving, the dirt away from a formed, say, area. So to harden it or form it up and keep it secure, we put in, tubes like you said, but they actually go in the same. What's that, horizontal, isn't it? Yeah, horizontal. So you'll have your face, you'll have your profile marked out. The surveyors will mark them out, and then you go above that, above that line, or do you come in
wherever they mark it?
Yeah,
right. You stay above it.
Yeah, so then you come in on a slight angle, so
it's a slight angle looking up.
Yep.
So that you always leave, maybe 5 metres of. You leave about 5 metres in the ground.
Yes.
And when your face is back here, you still got 5 metres. You start your second and your next array.
Yeah, so
you've got an overlap.
Overlap like that.
Yeah.
And you're advancing through and cutting your profile underneath it.
Yeah.
And like you say, you might, if the ground's really shitty, you'll have to put up a steel beam or a girder or a steel bracing and cement that in. So that's your arch form, or that's you
spray it all in.
You spray that all in.
Yeah.
And then, that's a process in itself, and then, that takes time. And you're cutting this out with a 200, not a 300 too. So a smaller machine, smaller head, smaller diameter. Did you cut it all out at once, or what was your...
No, you only, you cut out probably a metre, and you muck it out, and then you put your next set in. It was pretty bad ground.
Yeah.
So you just cut out your minimum, just so you don't expose yourself too much.
Yeah.
Even though you got canopy tubes up, but don't take any risks.
Yeah. And you introduced a few engineers there, like you talked earlier. An engineer that came with you, she's already been on here, Andrea Edney.
She came on at the next project on the M5.
Oh, yeah, righto. Yeah. So we went from that job, you went to the M5?
Yep.
Yeah, righto. So, because she talked about that job as being her first, and she was studying at the same time.
Yeah, started as a postgraduate.
Yeah.
And,
there was a few engineers that rocked up then too, though, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, and there's Mario.
I'm not laughing. He's my boss, so I better not laugh.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. So then M5. Let's talk about this job, because this is when, I obviously asked you for a job at Cross City.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the next one after this. So, I didn't really know too much about you, but I'd heard a lot about you from Cross City. But the M5 was talked about because it was a fresh job. So let's talk about the M5 now, because especially from your point of view and your perspective, because you were the general super.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left Peabody to go there and work for Balderstone. Twin tunnels, 2 lane each way, 12.7 wide by 7 high.
How come 2 lanes?
I don't know. That's why I asked the same question when I started.
Did you? Did you say, hang on, we need 3?
That's it.
Oh, and they didn't listen.
No.
Ah.
What would I know?
What would you know?
But everyone asked the same question.
Oh.
Yeah, but it was budget to budget, and that's it.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah.
Righto, let's talk about that job for a little while. Because I've heard some good stuff about it.
But engineers, as far as Mario and Princess went, I had them down there driving trucks and loaders and that sort of stuff, just to get them, learn how everything works.
Yeah.
Doing shift work. I don't think Princess did shift work, but Mario certainly did.
Yeah.
He was my spy on night shift.
Yeah. Was he any good at spying? Because he
good.
mixes with the boys too much.
He's a good all rounder, mate.
Do you reckon they would have cottoned on to that? He'd be listening to this. But righto. So 2 lanes. How long was that tunnel?
Our section was only 2,200 metres.
Yeah.
And then you had concrete constructions.
Yeah.
I think it was concrete constructions doing the other end.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 Mitsubi's 300s or
300s.
Yeah. Righto. So we went up to the big gear and punched them out.
And then we had another 300 at Torella Shaft doing the ventilation tunnel.
Righto. Yeah, we'll talk about this ventilation tunnel soon coming up because the tunnels that I've been on lately haven't got that separate ventilation tunnel, but we had them on these road tunnels, don't we? We had them back then. So you had your 2 main lines and then you had the vent tunnel. So you had 3
came off at right angles to go to Torella.
Yeah, so 3 tunnels going on at once,
Yeah.
Pretty much. 24 hours, 7 days a week.
No, we're only working 6 days there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
righto.
there's always maintenance going on Sundays.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Righto. And then, so what else? What was that job and what can you...
Oh, no, it's just another job, but it was another great job. Like you say, everyone talks about it. Remember the M5, all this. And,
remember you on the M5, more like it.
But all these young fellas that come up with all these stories. I remember on the M5 you said this or you did this.
Yeah.
But I don't remember all the stories. There's too many.
Yeah, but you introduced a lot of fellas on that job, especially to the tunnelling in Sydney. Like you'd been around for a while, and even Cross City for me. But the guys that I came on board early with, like you brought me in pretty early to the Cross City, but I know that they were already established before, like Johnny Gardner and all those fellas. Is that right?
Yeah, Johnny Gardner's a tunnel superintendent. He's still doing major projects.
Yeah. So, but from that job, you brought a few guys in too.
Yeah, I can't remember who we brought in, but we had some good roadheader operators there.
Yeah, right.
Like to Chaz Dean and Regis and Bullfighter. And,
right. Yeah. So then that job we went to. Was there a break in between?
It wasn't after M5. Wasn't in that many. It was Cross City straight after. Yeah, Cross City was straight after that.
I think so. I don't know if. You didn't go back up to Caddington, did you, or did you? No, righto. So then, it must have been Cross City. Yeah, righto. Like I said earlier, like I remember getting finishing. I was with E-Rock up at in Orange.
Yep.
With Tiger and the like, and I was playing rugby, or wanted to play rugby in Sydney, and I was getting changed, and I got this phone number and rang you up. I remember the interview. I came down to Sydney because he said, when you're in Sydney, come and see me. And I wasn't, but I shot down. I just hung the phone up and said, oh, yeah, I'm here. I'll come and see you. But I was in Orange. Yeah. So I just drove down. I remember coming into your office. I think it was in that main Pitt Street or one of those main... William Street, yeah. And we went in and the interview was probably one of the best I've had, to be honest. I noticed on that job too, with you, was that you were the general super, tunnel super, the shift boss. You were an engineer, HR, accounts, and shift boss, and then I even seen you on a bit of the gear. So it's only because you were wearing an orange hat that you were, realised you were the boss. But you actually covered a lot back. Well, you do,
if I don't like to see people struggling. If someone needs a hand, I'll go and give them a hand. I'm not going to walk past them and watch them struggle.
Yeah.
someone hasn't had a break on the loader, I'll jump on the loader for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Let them have a cup of tea or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same on the road header. If they haven't had a break, some of these guys will stay up there all day and won't say anything.
Yeah, right.
But I like to keep my hand in too.
Yeah.
I don't anymore.
Yeah.
Because we've got some pretty good fellas around. Jeez.
Yeah. But that's what when I remember and know you as too. You always had your finger on the pulse.
Yep.
And
down every day, nice and early, just to check what's going on, make sure no one's bullshitting me.
Yeah.
So I do know what's going on.
Yeah.
I do know. There's nothing worse than going into an office and you get thrown under a bus because you don't know what actually happened.
Yeah, right.
So.
And then at your level too, or anyone's level really, having the information right is important to be able to do your job, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. If a super's watching now that when you had been a super, what advice could you give? From your experiences and everything.
I don't know, just bit of advice. Well, there's one, get down the hole every day so you can see what's actually going on. Don't take, second-hand news. See it for yourself. I really believe in that. What else? Your boys are your bread and butter. Look after them.
Yeah.
Like money-wise, safety-wise. Be firm, but be hard. Be firm, but be reasonable. Like I'd rip it up someone during the day, but I'd go and have a beer with them after work. Once work's finished, go and have a beer with them.
Yeah.
That's it. Never hold a grudge.
Yeah. I remember just trying to find out a bit about you because I sort of took it on myself to find out about people so you can get a better understanding, just like you with the work and all that. I suppose for me, understanding someone in their role and how much pressure is on you, and then having respect for what you do, and like you say, you might rip it up someone, but there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
But then that person taking it on board and knowing that probably did stuff up or fix it in some way that you don't have to come down the hole.
I don't do it for nothing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So no, that's
And they remember because they told me 10 years later. Well, I've forgotten.
Yeah.
There's that many stories like that.
Yeah. Mario reckons used to rip it up, didn't he?
Oh, I did. Hey, geez, he learnt from it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he did. He certainly did. Look at him now.
Yeah, that's it, eh? Yeah, and I must admit, that's what I admire about people like that took everything on board. I admire about you too, that, you gave it to us and there was a reason behind it.
Mm.
One thing I did remember, if you weren't saying anything to us, you must have been doing all right.
Yeah.
So just because you were quiet towards us, it means that you weren't watching us and all that. We couldn't get complacent. He's never said nothing to me, I'll be right. No way.
Yeah.
So keep on top of that too. So then, so Cross City, to me, first job, didn't really understand what was going on, to be honest. I told the story last week, first time I'd ever seen a road header. Because I got there early too, and the site setup, I still didn't really understand tunnelling. I was, when I went to mining, I started, pretty much immediately. When I say immediately, that afternoon.
Yeah.
So down the hole.
Yeah.
Cross City's tunnel was early days. We hadn't even got our acoustic shed or nothing. We were still smashing up or demolishing the building and stuff. So there was still, remnants of the old building. So to me, that wasn't tunnelling, and I was a little bit confused.
Yeah.
But you just said when you rang me, you still keen? And I said, yeah, right, medical tomorrow, bang, be here, such and such. So I rocked up. I told my first experience of a road header. You brought it down. Hebro was on the machine. He was on days waiting for it to turn up. He had I think Baz might have been with him, even Victor and all that. And they come to the bulkhead and they were ready to do their first cut. Obviously power it up, do the old experiment, see if it's going to work. I'm up the road, probably 100 metres, with the Irish fella Glenn. He's breaking up some rock, and I'm just on the water hose now. Here's a water hose going Yes, dust suppression for that Irish fella up the road. So I'm holding a hose for a month or two, thinking, hang on, is this tunnelling?
Yeah.
Anyway, this road header turns up. Didn't have any cab or nothing on it, because we didn't have the big luxury cabs now. Turned it up, powered up, woof, away it went. So I'm like watching this fucking thing getting built, and then away it goes, and then bang, rammed its head into the rock, into the wall. I'm like, looked at the Irish fella, I was like, the hell's that? And he had been, I think, might have been on the M5, and he goes, oh, it's a road header, rah, rah. And I said, really? Road header? That's weird. All the way there. Anyway, the shift finished, a couple of hours or whatever. I went back, they all left. I'm looking around going, I'm waiting. So everyone took off. So I went down to the road header, and I looked at the wall, and I'm looking inside, and I was thinking, what the hell is that? What have they just done? So I went and touched the wall, and I was like, this is weird. Anyway, rung the old man up. I said, hey, Dad, big white thing come down the hole. Front of it was turning. It moved forward, and then it looked like it was on fire. And then I went down there, and it's cut away. And well, I didn't say cut. I don't know what I said. And he started pissing himself off, laughing. He goes, yeah, that's a road header. I said, what's that? And he goes, oh, they cut the tunnel out. I said, cut the tunnel out? He goes, yeah, that's how they tunnel. And I said, no way. I said, when are we going to be drilling and blasting and blowing shit up? Oh, you can't in a city. Because you've got car parks and you're going in between things and all that. Yeah, so that was my first experience. I didn't get on crew for a little while. They were in a little while, and then I think Victor or even Hebro might have had a word to Johnny about me or you. I don't know. I think I might have come and pissed in your pocket about getting on crew, and eventually got on there. But poof, unreal, unreal. What an experience, and I was hooked anyway from Dad's days and listening to those stories. But Cross Cities just set it up for me. It's unreal. Yeah.
We've got we have 9 road headers on that project.
Yeah.
So.
And I didn't
had all Darling Harbour, the shaft going, and the road headers down at Darling Harbour.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing, not knowing what was happening on the other side and coming towards you. That's what I mean. I didn't understand a lot of the bigger picture, and this is why it's so important for people coming into it now to understand what's on the other sites, what's happening, where we're going. You know, those big maps we have on the crib room walls and all that sort of stuff. Understanding, you know, where it's all coming from. And I just hope they do. And if they don't, go and find out. Or go and ask the questions, you know, come and see me or whoever's around and just ask these questions, you know. And this is where I'm hoping, you know, they listen on this and get a better understanding and get an understanding that you can go and ask, and it actually opens it up for you. Because like I said, hey bro, he said all these about we went on top of each other with the rail and all that to live traffic and all that. Until he talked about it, I went, oh, that is pretty full on. Even the coverage, you know. So, and then we're breaking through. And then that vent tunnel, you know, having that beside it, because you didn't have to go down there. I remember the cross patches that went down that way. I was like, how's that? Going into Darling Harbour, we had that entry that was quite steep and went down into there, and then walking into that, and it just opened up, and I just went, whoa, where did this come from?
I don't know if you remember either, but we had to do the concrete lining there for the future metro tunnel, which is they're excavating there now.
So bloody, 14, 15 years later?
Yeah. So that's what all that concrete lining was for in the westbound tunnel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be buggered.
Yeah.
And I suppose with this, and what I've been doing over the last couple of years, is talking about the good things about tunnelling and trying to promote it in such a way that it is a great industry, and you know, you've done 40 years in it, so it must be pretty good, or you're pretty good at it, so... but you have our downers too, eh?
Yep.
Have our bloody downers.
Yep.
You know, it's not all peaches and cream.
No.
So So after that, because a lot of us shot over, you know, Johnny went over to Lane Cove, and I shot over there with Matt Phelan and the likes, and Wilson was at the other end, and that was another great project as well.